So strangely, some of the videos that do the best on this channel are the negative ones. I don't know why that's the case. Well, today is another one of those videos, I guess, which is gonna be why you will fail to become an artist. So this video title might seem dark at first, but I will say that this video is to not discourage you from becoming an artist or pursuing it full time, but it's more to list out some of the most common reasons behind why I see a lot of people not really fulfilling their full-time artist career dreams or goals that they want because of these things that maybe they're not willing to confront. But after I shout it out in today's video, maybe you'll decide it's finally time to face them head on. But before I get too deep into today's video, I first wanted to say that I can't believe MEESH the Bad Demon, my very first graphic novel, is coming out in literally like 2 weeks from now. So please check it out in the links below if you would like to pre-order it so that it will ship to you on March 21st. And if you are in the Pasadena area in Los Angeles, we are hosting a party at VROMAN'S bookstore from 2 to 4 p.m. I will be there, my friend Noor Rasul will be there, and we will be doing an author chit chat. We'll be taking pictures and hanging out with anyone who wants to stick around for that time period. And if you are there, I hope to see you soon. So in today's video, I'm going to be dividing the reasons why you might fail in 4 different sections, because I do feel like there are different categories as to why, because you know, being an artist is such a vague thing. You're like someone who creates art, but you also need to make money with it, and you also need to stay motivated to create art. So we're gonna break it down to general growth and improvement, financially, jobs and art school, and motivation. So for the first section, general growth and improvement, I will have to say that one of the top reasons why most artists fail or seem to struggle to get to the next step of their improvement is because they fail to accept, take feedback or constructive criticism. So yes, there's definitely a time and place where constructive criticism is not exactly constructive, but there are times when people are respectfully giving you advice to maybe improve for the future. There are times that some students did not accept it and they just kind of stay in their comfort zone and only stick to doing their own style, and that's kind of all they'll ever know, and they don't really explore the other ideas that people suggest, and that ultimately kind of closes you up to potential routes your art can take. So it's a good idea to just kind of stay open and try new things if you can. So moving on to the next one is not trying new styles or out of comfort zone things. I feel like comfort zone things should not be eliminated from your drawing habits. However, when it comes to growing, it can be a little bit of a crutch because you might have developed habits in your drawing style that are hard to get out of unless if you try something new, which is why I feel like a lot of artists might sometimes struggle to land jobs because their style is so specific and so unique to themselves that it might not be able to fit certain projects out there. And sometimes the best option for them in that regard is to be able to learn to draw other things, broaden their horizons, so that when the time comes where they do need to find a job or they do need to fit within a certain scope of a project just to make ends meet, they will be able to do that because they are able to draw anything. Then next is not revisiting your foundations, which all of these are going to be linked together again at the end of the day in some way, but by not revisiting your foundations, it will eventually show in your art. You need to have an understanding of these things, especially when it comes to landing jobs or getting good feedback on your portfolio, or just even being able to have art that reads very clearly. That is going to be very much needed as a form of draftsmanship when you are either designing characters, backgrounds, storyboarding. Obviously, there are a lot of artists out there who break these rules and that works for them, but of course with that comes with their original understanding of foundational art. And then the last one for the general growth and improvement category is not having a disciplined routine to practice your art. So as much as art is a very expressive act, at the end of the day, it is still something that you gotta do if you want to make it a living or turn it into a professional career. But I felt like the difference between a lot of the artists I saw that ended up landing jobs or turning them into professional careers versus the ones that kind of kept them as hobbies was they developed a very disciplined routine in their art making practice, because when you are becoming a full-time artist, it's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies. You're going to be having to work during times you really don't want to work on this, but you just have to get it out to just get it done. At the end of the day, I do feel like having a disciplined routine and practicing your art will both help you in improving your art in the long run, and it will also be good for you when you're placed in a professional career setting and you have to deliver materials by a certain deadline. Moving on to the next topic, which is finances. So these are going to be reasons why you might not be attaining your financial goals as an artist, or you're not getting where you are wanting to be financially in a way where your art is able to support you full time. But speaking of finances, I first wanted to thank the sponsor of today's video, Aura, an all-in-one app to stay safe online. So a few months ago, my information was involved in a data breach from my health insurance, and I actually started getting an influx of spam, in which after downloading Aura, I found out that my information has been sold to telemarketers by over 30 data brokers. Thankfully, the Aura app monitors emails and passwords, so all I had to do was click once for the app to send out opt-out requests on my behalf. Aura also monitors your bank accounts and credit score for any fraudulent activity or identity theft. They'll also manage your passwords, provide internet parent controls, and protect your devices from malware. On top of that, Aura's app also features a VPN so you can surf the internet safely. So you may already have apps for each of these things, but Aura features all of this in one app. I'm pleased to share that if you sign up now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with my link aura.com/mutripled in the description box below, or you can scan the QR code on this screen. So if you give Aura a try, you might also be surprised by how much of your private information may have been exposed. Thanks again to Aura for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to it. So one of the first reasons is you're not promoting yourself as much, and you're expecting your work to kind of speak for you. And this is, I think, a common downfall of a lot of artists. I felt so embarrassed about promoting myself. Like, I hated telling people to go check out my book. But the truth is, it's something you have to do to get your work out there, because no one else is gonna do it for you other than yourself. You're the only one who is the spokesperson of your art. Your art cannot speak for you all the time. Sure, there are moments where they can. However, it's not going to be something that will consistently sustain you if you don't speak about it yourself. So go ahead, give yourself a shout out and promote your stuff, because a lot of other people there with their other non-art businesses are always doing this for their work, and why can't artists be doing the same for themselves? The next reason why you might not be hitting the financial goals that you want is probably because you don't know your worth, which comes with asking around and seeing how much other people are getting paid so that you can get a ballpark of how much you should be getting paid. So I made 2 videos prior to this called the top best paying art/animation jobs and the worst paying art/animation jobs. And I feel like within that, you should know if you're being paid severely less or more or average compared to others. And while talking about pay is a little bit taboo, or used to be considered taboo, it shouldn't be, because I feel like with a career like art, which is, really taken advantage of at times, I feel like it's really important for artists to know their worth, know how much they should be getting paid, so that they can be treated fairly and be able to live their life stably, and don't just lowball yourself just so that you get the job, because once you do that, you're allowing other artists out there to lowball themselves. A lot of people get by their days with art, and it's a shame that those people who create the art don't really always get their fair form of recognition. So then next, the reason why you might not be growing financially might be because you're not diversified enough in the projects that you have. As much as there are full-time art jobs out there, there are times where maybe you might be in a position where your job is not paying you enough, so you need to kind of make more money through other projects. I've known many people who, even though they work full-time animation jobs, they are still teaching on the side, or they are selling courses on the side, or they're doing things similar like I am, where they're making YouTube videos, publishing books, or running a social media platform where that is generating some sort of income for them as well, or they have their own independent business on the side. So things like that are really important for an artist to kind of sustain some sort of financial stability, especially during times of hiatuses between animation projects when you're not making any money. You still have something to fall back onto that is generating some sort of income even when you're making nothing from your full-time job. So that's something that's going to be important to achieving some sort of financial stability if you want to pursue art full-time. And then lastly, I feel like I'm just gonna get smacked for this because I know I sound like a broken record whenever I talk about this at this point, but it's not having a social media platform. But unfortunately, that's just the reality we're in, is that social media is gonna play a huge role in your finances potentially, because if you do have a lot of followers, you will probably be reached out by more companies for either collaborations. You're probably going to be more likely to land a book deal of some sort. You'll probably have more recognition and more people to promote your work to increase the chances of someone buying your work, commissioning you, or buying something from your shop. And if you are somebody with a high following, I do think that, you know, it would be in your best interest to find a way to crowdfund your work so that you can be able to live making the things that you want and share that with your audience in return. And also, if you're someone who maybe does not have the highest or best following right now, it's not the end of the world. There are ways to, you know, either increase your following or make the most with the followers you have for the time being. I even made videos about why your art isn't getting likes or views, why you're not growing followers, or just, you know, things in that social media regard of being an artist. So check those out if you feel like followers or social media is kind of your struggle. I have struggled with it myself, which is why I made videos about how I feel like I kind of somewhat overcame them. So then moving on to the next category will be jobs and art school. So I placed them both together in a similar category because in a way they're kind of the same in the way that you approach them. It's just one is going to make you money and the other one isn't, and is more there to help you get into the job section. So one of the top reasons why some students might not get into the art schools of their dreams is because they're not showing that they understand foundations in their portfolio. But this one is more about showcasing that element within your portfolio. So when you're making your art portfolio for school, you know, it should be a mixture of your style, personal style, and also your understanding of foundations. So I guess for every time you draw something in your stylized work, also draw something purely from observation, because when you are applying to art school for college, they want you to already be understanding these things, and they want you to show that within your work, because once you get into art school, you're not really going to be having a lot of classes about how to draw or how to paint or how to illustrate from the beginning. Once you're in art school, they kind of expect you to already be at a certain level to then move on to. So by the time you're applying for an art school, in your portfolio that you apply to it, show that you understand foundational art and don't just only show your style, because I feel like a lot of schools might be like, okay, well, we know this person has a great imagination, but we also want to know the structure and the thought process behind it to show teachers that, hey, I get this, so that by the time I'm in your class, I don't need to have reminders or that much guidance in foundational art because it's something I already know. So I feel like a lot of students do understand foundational art, but maybe they just don't show it in their portfolios, and sometimes that's why they might not necessarily get in. So the next reason why you might not make it into your ideal art school is because you're not really showcasing that you have a voice in your portfolio. And of course, this is going to be different between all of the different art schools depending on what they want and what their curriculum entails. But I'm speaking mostly upon art and animation and illustration schools that will eventually somewhat end up in some sort of entertainment career. So in your portfolio, it's important to show your voice, and not all students always do this. Some of them go a little bit too hard on that foundational art route. Some of them showcase their anatomy skills a little bit too hard that they forget to show who they are as a person, you know? So when it comes to showcasing your voice, some of the things that you could be showing are, you know, how you distort the things that you see in real life into a stylistic way in your imagination, or storyboard out some ideas, show some thumbnails of a story idea you have, and maybe there's a certain theme around all of the certain things you're showing. Like maybe you're someone originally from New York, and New York is a big part of your personality because that's where you were raised, and in your portfolio throughout the whole thing, teachers and professors, when they're reviewing your work, will see so many random elements of New York within your portfolio. So it could be many ways that you showcase that you have a voice in your portfolio, whether if it's doing it within your work itself, showing stories, or sprinkling these moments of you being someone from this specific background throughout the entire portfolio itself. So next we're moving on to the job section of this category, and one of the reasons why a lot of people, when they first graduate from school, they might not land on jobs initially might be because they don't really understand the intention behind the project that they're applying for. There are so many things that go into a very specific portfolio, and that's just one of the annoying things about the world of animation, is that when you apply with a general portfolio, it's not going to just get you any job. You really need to specify your portfolio for these projects you apply to, and hope and pray that what you create will align with one of the projects out there. So usually when you read the job descriptions of job applications out there, sometimes they'll be like, we're looking for an action-driven, you know, storyboard portfolio, or we're looking for a sci-fi based artist, and hopefully your storyboard portfolio or whatever portfolio you're doing is going to fall within the sci-fi action world. It's going to be very different compared to like comedy or sitcom. Those might require something that's a little bit more flatter, cleaner artwork, something like that. So when you're applying to these jobs, make sure you read the description and make sure your portfolio is tailored towards that specific idea they're looking for. And then lastly, this is a reason why you might not land on a job, or this might be a reason why you might eventually get let go, is because you don't do your work on time. When you are an artist and you are known for not getting your stuff done on time, word spreads fast in this industry. People will know, and people might not want to work with you in that case, because if you are known for not getting your stuff done on time, that is even worse, I think, sometimes than just not having the greatest art. I think people would rather have you submit chicken scratch, but at least it's on time, rather than just never submitting anything, because once you push back the deadlines, it really affects the schedule, the budget, and people don't want to be in a position where they have to spend more money than they have to. And just remember that this is just your job. It's not your baby. It's not your own personal project. So you don't have to put too much of yourself into your main job because you're just trying to get things done to deliver for a project you're assigned to, more so then this is a project that your whole life and identity depends on. So lastly, we are in the motivation category, which is going to kind of be like the overarching thing that will determine whether or not you will do half of the stuff that I mentioned like prior to this. So motivation. One of the reasons why you fail to stay motivated will probably because you're not taking a break. So this sounds a lot easier said than done, but it is completely true. I always make it a point to keep some physical distance away from my art and either get some movement or physical action out of my day. I feel like, you know, when you're doing art, you're just hunched over or just standing at your desk drawing, and you're in a very sedentary state. So I feel like I need to be doing the complete opposite. I feel like I need to physically get away from my art and actually exercise, work out, go out and explore a new area, hang out with people, do the complete opposite thing so that when you revisit it, you're not stuck with that muddy feeling you were originally stuck with it. I feel like I struggle with creating art whenever I don't have any ideas, which usually is from my life. So in order for me to get ideas, I need to go out and live my life. Like, there would not be any comics whatsoever if I don't live and create experiences and kind of draw them back into my art. It just, at the end of the day, makes you feel good and better and refreshed, so that maybe when you see your art again or approach it, you have a new refreshed vision or way of approaching it this time. So then next is not allowing yourself to indulge in the things that you enjoy. So I feel like this is when going back to your comfort zone should be an allowance. If you feel like you cannot draw, you cannot get yourself to do anything, but drawing in this style, which is your comfort zone, is your favorite thing to do, that's the only thing that can get you to draw, well, go do it then. Go indulge in your comfort zone for this time being and know that this is what's going to help you get out of your rut. But also with other things too, I feel like even with watching certain shows or reading certain books or listening to certain music, I feel like for me as an art student, some of the things that I consumed were somewhat shunned upon, especially when it came to applying to jobs. I was just so hyperly aware of what I was watching. Is what I'm watching gonna make me look good as an artist? Is it gonna make me look good as an intellectual person? Those things that I used to once love started making me so insecure, but now that I'm kind of out of it, I'm just like, you know what, F the haters, just draw what you want, do what you want. You can just separate the two things. Keep the things that you need to improve for your job and technical life, but also keep the things that you love just personally to yourself for, you know, water cooler moments or talking with your friends. So I used to have a really bad habit as a kid where anytime I drew something and I did not like the way it was turning out, I just did not like how it was feeling when I was drawing it, I would just rip it out of my sketchbook and throw it away and start it again on the next page. I would just expect myself to do another version of it perfectly from the beginning. But that is not the best way to approach your art. Sometimes it's better to just draw it, allow it to look bad, move on, and maybe revisit it later. If you ever read my comics on Instagram, you might see that I revisit a lot of similar story topics. Some of the ones I made back in the past, maybe they just did not clearly communicate what I wanted as well. Maybe they just didn't look as good as I wanted them to, but I still revisit those topics and I change certain things about it and I reiterate. Reiterating is going to be a big part of an art career, so it's important that you start now, let the bad drawings out, and allow yourself to do a better version of it later. This is also why I keep my infamous shit books, which are books that are purely for creating bad art only for scribbles, sketches only, no clean art involved. So those are really important for you just releasing all of that energy of creating bad art first. And the last reason as to why you might be failing to stay motivated when creating your art is you're not having a reason to create your art. So you don't always need a reason to be making art. Sometimes you just want to, and that's the most beautiful way to have it happen. However, a lot of people are gonna face art block or not have the motivation to do anything sometimes. So I feel like with that, sometimes you might just need a reason or a purpose for your art to be done. And for me, whenever I struggle with something like this is why I just have projects for myself. I have my graphic novel, I have my slice of life Instagram comics I need to do, I have YouTube videos, I have my Etsy shop. I feel like I personally as an artist function better when I have projects that my art is assigned to, because I feel like when I don't know what to create, there's always either 4 to 5 different categories of things I could be making. Maybe you need a project to assign your work to so that you have an intention behind your work, or sometimes you just don't want to be thinking about the idea so that you can just get started on just drawing the art and executing it. Create a list of ideas of the things that you've always wanted to do, and when you don't have the motivation to make art but you really want to be doing something, refer back to the list of idea and just focus on executing on that one idea. And even if you're not in the best spirits to start it, at least you just get it started, get the bad art out, and then all the other things I mentioned in this video, you can apply it to your work from that point onward. So with that, I will say thank you for watching this video. I hope this video helped you, or maybe enlightened you, or opened your eyes to maybe some of the things you didn't realize that you were doing or not doing, because I think throughout my whole journey as an artist, I feel like these are just things that I feel like, hey, these were moments why I feel like I wasn't necessarily succeeding in the ways I wanted to, and I've been there, done that with all of the things I've mentioned in this video, so hopefully it will help you too. So thanks for watching this video. Again, please check out MEESH the Bad Demon in the links below if you want to read my very first graphic novel. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.